ever pore over articles, books, or maybe notes, spend hours trying to get it all in, and then the next day, it's just, well, gone.
Oh, absolutely. You're definitely not alone there. It's incredibly common, really frustrating.
It really is. We get all this information thrown at us, and yeah, figuring out how to make it actually stick, that's the hard part.
Totally. It's not about finding info anymore. It's about keeping it.
Exactly. Which brings us nicely to today's deep dive. We're looking at a source, a YouTube transcript from Peakonomics. It's called How to Remember Everything You Read, the Ultimate Memory Hack.
Right. That's quite a claim, isn't it? Ultimate memory hack.
Yeah, it is. But they say it's packed with, powerful science-backed psychological tricks to train your brain, basically. Make memory faster, last longer.
Okay, so that's our job today then. Pull out the best bits from this transcript, see what Peakonomics actually suggests we can do to remember stuff better.
That's the plan. Let's unpack it. So the core idea, right away, they emphasize that just passively reading or highlighting, it's just not very effective.
Yeah, pretty much useless on its own.
Yeah.
Your brain isn't really engaged. It doesn't have to put in the work.
Right. The source makes it sound like your brain gets a bit lazy if you just, let the words wash over you. Feels like you're studying, but nothing sinks in.
Exactly. And that's where the shift comes in towards active techniques.
Yeah.
It's all about making your brain, wrestle with the material.
Okay, so let's get practical. What's the first active technique they talk about?
Well, they kick off with active recall. And they present it as maybe the most powerful one.
Active recall. Okay, so the idea is simple, right? Instead of just rereading, you stop. Close the book.
Uh-huh. And you try to remember what you just learned. Actively pull it out of your head. Ask yourself questions about it. Try to answer them without looking.
It's like giving yourself mini tests all the time.
Yeah.
And the source says that effort, the struggle to retrieve the memory, that's what actually strengthens it.
Precisely. It's like exercise for your brain cells. Pulling the information out makes it stick much better than just trying to passively shove it in.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. What's the next hack on their list?
Building on that, they talk about spaced repetition. This is basically the exact opposite of cramming for an exam.
Right, so instead of one massive study session, you spread it out, review things over time.
Yes, exactly. But strategically. You might review something today, then maybe in, say, 3 days, then maybe a week later. The gaps get longer each time. The source explains this helps combat the forgetting curve. How we naturally forget things over time. This interrupts that process, makes the memory more durable.
And they mention tools for this, like apps.
Yeah, things like Anki or Quizlet, they can handle the scheduling for you, which is pretty handy. Takes the guesswork out of it.
Super practical. Okay, so we've got testing ourselves and spacing our reviews. Does the source mention ways to, organize the information better in the first place?
It does. It gets into encoding strategies. One really interesting one, used by memory champions apparently, is the memory palace.
Memory palace? That sounds elaborate. You associate information with places, like in your house.
Kinda, yeah. It taps into our really good spatial memory. You pick a place you know super well, your house, your walk to work, whatever.
Okay.
And you mentally place the things you want to remember in specific locations. Like the first point is on the doormat. The second is hanging from the coat rack. Then, to remember, you just take a mental walk through that space and see the information again.
Wow. Okay, that's definitely creative. Requires some imagination. What about just dealing with a ton of information, like a whole textbook chapter?
For that, they bring up chunking. This is all about breaking big, intimidating blocks of information down into smaller, related groups.
Because our brains can only handle so much at once, right? Like a phone number.
Exactly that. Remembering 555-123-4567 is way harder than 555-123-4567. You're grouping it. So the source suggests you could group history events by theme, or maybe scientific concepts by category. Makes complex stuff feel less overwhelming.
Makes sense. Grouping makes it digestible. And, okay, there was one more technique. The source called it the most powerful.
Yes. The grand finale, maybe. It's teach what you learn.
So actually explaining the topic out loud.
Yeah, to someone else, ideally. But, crucially, the source says it works even if you're explaining it to, an empty chair, or just recording yourself talking through it.
Really? How does that work?
Well, the act of having to articulate it, put it into your own words, structure it so someone else could understand, it forces your brain to organize the information differently, to really synthesize it.
And it shows you where the gaps are in your own understanding.
Instantly. You stumble, you hesitate, you realize, oh, wait, I don't actually get how that connects. You can't effectively teach what you don't truly grasp.
Okay, wow. So putting it all together from this Peaconomics source, the big picture seems to be it's not just about hours logged, is it? It's how you engage.
That's the core message, yeah. Active recall, spaced repetition, memory palace, chunking, teach what you learn. They're presented as these active, really quite powerful, science-supported methods.
Not just tricks, but actual strategies to change how well information goes in and stays in.
Exactly. And the source seems pretty optimistic, saying that even just picking one of these and trying it consistently could make a noticeable difference.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? If just changing how you approach learning something can boost your memory so much, what other things like skills or maybe even understanding complex ideas could be totally transformed just by switching up the method?
That's a great question to leave people with. What else could a different approach unlock? Definitely something to mull over.